Hello Year 5, welcome to Monday's guided reading where we're going to carry on with our reading of Clockwork. I know you're all super excited because I've been getting emails asking me where the extra reading is. You cannot wait to read this. Me neither. It's a cracker. So we're going to start Monday with a little bit of deep analysis of a section of what we're going to read today. And also I'm going to set you a challenge. Can you story map some or all of the section that I'm about to read to you today? So as you're listening, think about how you would story map this section of our book. Okay, let's read. We are going to be reading from page 30. Now it finished last week with Dr. Calmenius of Strasbourg turning up at the tavern. He was in Fritz's story and then suddenly he turned up at the tavern. And he says, Dr. Calmenius of Strasbourg at your service, he said in a harsh, grating voice. I have come a long way tonight and I am cold. A glass of brandy. The landlord poured it hastily. The stranger drained it at once and held out the glass for more. Still nobody moved. So silent? Asked Dr. Calmenius, looking around mockingly. One might think one had arrived among the dead. The burgomaster swallowed hard and got to his feet. I beg your pardon, Dr. Calmenius, but the fact is that... And he looked at Fritz, who was staring at Dr. Calmenius with horror. The young man was as pale as the paper in his hand. His eyes were nearly starting from his head. His hair was standing on end and a ghastly sweat had broken out on his forehead. Yes, my good sir, said Dr. Calmenius. I, said Fritz, and swallowed convulsively. The burgomaster intervened. The fact is that our young friend is a writer of stories, doctor, and he was reading one of his tales when you arrived. Ah, how delightful, said Dr. Calmenius. I should greatly enjoy hearing the rest of your story, young sir. Please, don't feel inhibited by my presence. Carry on as if I wasn't here at all. A little cry broke from Fritz's throat. With a sudden movement he crumpled all his sheets of paper together and thrust them into the stove, where they blazed up high. I beg you, he cried, have nothing to do with this man. And like someone who had seen the devil, he ran out of the inn as fast as he could. Dr. Calmenius broke into a wild and mocking laugh, and at that several other good citizens followed Fritz's example and left their pipes and their mugs of beer, grabbed their coats and hats, and were off, not even daring to look the stranger in the eye. Herr Rinkelmann and the burgomaster were almost the last to leave. The old clockmaker thought he should say something to a fellow craftsman, but his tongue was mute, and the burgomaster thought that he should either welcome the eminent Dr. Calmenius or send him on his way. But his nerve failed, and the two old men took their sticks and hurried away as fast as they could. Little Gretel was clinging to her father, the landlord, watching it all with wide eyes. Well, said Dr. Calmenius, you keep early hours in this town. I will take another glass of brandy. The landlord poured with a shaking hand and ushered Gretel out, for this was no company for a child. Dr. Calmenius drained the brandy at once and called for yet another. And perhaps this gentleman will join me, he said, turning to the corner of the bar. For there sat Karl still. In the rush of all the other customers to leave, he had not moved. He turned his glowering face, now flushed with drink and sullen with self-hatred, to glare at the stranger, but he could not meet those mocking eyes, and he dropped his gaze to the floor. Bring a glass for my companion, said Dr. Calmenius to the landlord, and then you may leave us. The landlord put the bottle and another glass on the bar and fled. Only 5 minutes before the parlour had been full to bursting, but now Dr. Calmenius and Karl were alone, and the inn was so quiet that Karl could hear the whisper of flames in the stove, and the ticking of the old clock in the corner, even over the beating of his own heart. Dr. Calmenius poured some brandy and pushed the glass along the bar. Carl said nothing. He bore the stranger's stare for nearly a minute, and then he banged his fist on the counter and cried, "God damn you, what do you want?" "Of you, sir? I want nothing from you. You came here on purpose to jeer at me." "To jeer at you? Come, come, we have better clowns than you in Schatzburg. Should I come all this way to laugh at a young man whose face shows nothing but unhappiness? Come, drink up. Look cheerful. It is your morning of triumph tomorrow." Carl groaned and turned away, but Dr. Comenius's mocking voice continued. "Yes, the unveiling of a new figure for the famous clock of Glockenheim is an important occasion. Do you know I tried to find a bed in 5 different inns before I came here, and they were all full up. Visitors from all over Germany, gentlemen and ladies, craftsmen and clockmakers, experts in all kind of machinery, all come to see your new figure, your masterpiece. Isn't that something to be joyful about? Drink, my friend, drink." Carl snatched the glass and swallowed the fiery liquor. "There won't be a new figure," he muttered. "What's this?" "I said there won't be a new figure. I haven't made one. I couldn't. I wasted all my time, and when it was too late I found I couldn't do it. There you are. Now you can laugh at me. Go on." "Oh, dear, dear," said Dr. Comenius solemnly. "Laugh? I wouldn't dream of it. I've come here to help you." "What? You? How?" Dr. Comenius smiled. It was like a flame suddenly breaking out of an ash-covered log, and Carl recoiled. The old man came closer. "You see," he said, "I think you may have overlooked the philosophical implications of our craft. You know how to regulate a watch and repair a church clock. But had you ever considered that our lives are clockwork too?" "I don't understand," said Carl. "We can control the future, my boy, just as we wind up the mechanism in a clock. Say to yourself, 'I will win that race, I will come first,' and you wind up the future like clockwork. The world has no choice but to obey. Can the hands of that old clock in the corner decide to stop? Can the spring in your watch decide to wind itself up and run backwards? No! They have no choice, and nor has the future once you have wound it up. Now we're getting to the heart of it. This is Dr. Comenius's philosophy. This is what he wants Carl to believe. Well, there may be something in it. There are plenty of people who think they only have to wish for something and it will come true. Doesn't everyone think like that when they buy a lottery ticket? And there's no doubt it's a pleasant thing to imagine. But there's a flaw in it. Carl, who was feeling more and more lightheaded, said, "Impossible." And we're going to stop there. Okay, so your deep analysis is on this portion here at the start of our story today. The landlord poured it hastily. The stranger drained it at once and held out the glass for more. Still nobody moved. "So silent," said Dr. Comenius, looking around mockingly. "One might think one had arrived among the dead." The burgomaster swallowed hard and got to his feet. Okay, so I'm looking for some deep analysis there. What things are you going to be underlining today? I think I'm going to underline Dr. Comenius saying, and he's talking in a mockingly fashion, he's mocking them. So he's finding a way to laugh at them. He's taking the mickey out of them. That's something I'm definitely going to pull out of there. What else are you going to pull out in your deep analysis of this section today? And can you complete the challenge of story mapping some or all of the section we've read today? So could you tell me what happened after Dr. Comenius arrived? What were the people's reactions? What did Fritz do, for example? I recommend going back and listening to the story again and drawing the story map as you go. All right, have a fantastic Monday, and Mrs. E will be back with you tomorrow for a little bit more of our story. Have a great day, guys.